That's basically it. And now, I would like to read you a very short article on what I call paragenetics. The term was originally given to me in 1972 by the beings that were working with me then. Remember that Thoth didn't actually present himself until 77, but the ones that were, his precursors that were helping me along until I was ready for Thoth, they were the ones that gave me the initial information about paragenetics. But here, what I'm going to read you is sort of my summary that was written more recently in 2012. Paragenetics is the genetic information which is passed through reincarnation from one embodiment to another. So we have two channels to receive genetic information, from our family ancestry and from our past lives. These two modalities work together and yet have different jobs. What you inherit from your parents is a 3D mapping of genes, carrying the information of that family consciousness as well as physical traits. Paragenetics is the vehicle for gathering your entire human experience in various genetic families through which you have incarnated. So paragenetics supplies the information you need to bring it all together. Paragenetics affects your here and now gene pool, making changes that will improve that gene pool's ability to receive interdimensional information. It can also allow you to upgrade a whole genetic family through passing on the energy carried through the paragenetic circuitry, which gives a greater perspective to the gene pool, as if to allow them to read the whole book instead of just the one page they are on at that time. You can draw upon your paragenetic information to correct damaged genes, to remove genetically inherited diseases, etc. The ancients did this through using light to make this communication possible between the para and the physical genes. Stimulation of cells via light causes the cells and thus the DNA to open dormant codons called by Thoth, let me see if I can pronounce this, ephemems, that's EPHIMEMS, which are especially designed to process paragenetic signals. When these two genetic modalities are in full communication, deep genetic healing takes place. Paragenetic communion shares with the physical DNA bilateral systemic. This means that once the para is in full communication with the physical genome, it begins to create an alternate path of higher evolution, which is quantum in nature. What does this mean? Simply put, well, I'm trying, it means that as a human being, we are no longer trapped on one path of physical evolution. Wow, this is really important, so important I'm going to read it again. It means that as a human being, we are no longer trapped on one path of physical evolution. This secondary path is quantum in nature, so it can, you might say, leap tall buildings in a single bound, a quantum leap. As we develop the second path, our primary physical DNA path will begin to merge with it until it dissolves inside the greater quantum evolution. This is where we become pure gem body beings. Now I'm going to talk about a little more what the pure gem body is, but let me continue this article here. This is not something we have to do handsprings to achieve. It is a natural part of our evolution as quantum beings. We have been sifting around at the bottom of the cup, but now we are being strained into the greater purifying system as it pulls us up and out of the linear tracking to a level where we are able to sustain more and more pulses from our paragenetic field. Of course, paragenetics can also carry stuff we would rather not bring with us from past lives. However, as we become more and more aware of how empowered we are to transform the lower vibrations, we will then be carrying from one life to another just the pure forms we need to bond with the physical for liberation along the quantum path. often the soul will incarnate into a genetic family that is really not among its soul family, in order to transform that genetic strain through the light induction of the paragenetics that soul is bringing into the physical family line. The neat thing is, you don't have to bear children to do this. You just have to vibrate your paragenetic being into your current physical genetic body. I mean, this is so cool, folks, to me, that I almost shed tears every time I read that line or think about it. You know, not that I'm against having children, but the point is that doesn't even qualify it. It's coming directly from your field into your family. I know a lot of people out there say, why was I born into this family? I mean, I love my family and everything, but why was I born here? I don't seem to have anything in common with them. They don't believe in this and that. They put me down. They do the, you know, why was I born here? Well, this is the answer right there. To continue. The fact that various forms of light therapy can stimulate the connection between the para and the physical genetics I find especially interesting. Thoth has told me that this type of light stimulation not only creates the stronger communication channel, but it eliminates the baggage we don't want to come through the para waves from the past. Thus one received just the pure paragenetic light streaming. Now I know there are a lot of people out there that are developing light intensive programs, you know, light tables you lie on and everything. I think we're at the really beginning level, but nevertheless a beginning of creating this kind of light system to work with. So this is more or less the end of my article, but I'd like to go back and point out a few points here before we move on. One point is, with the paragenetic field, you know, integrating, you're not integrating, but speaking, communicating with your physical genetic field. You have a liberating port. You have an ability there, and indeed it's happening whether you know it or not on some levels, to allow your physical genetic being to change right then and there. And the beauty of it is, as you do that, let's say you have a child that is 25 years old, okay? And you're awakened after this, you know, when this child is 25, and you say, I really want to work on my genetic field. I want my you know, you don't have to call it paragenetics. Maybe somebody's calling it something else. They just have this feeling to do it, because nobody has to be in the box with me with my language and my thoth and all of this. This is universal science, okay? But this is the way that I've been given to communicate it to everyone. So let's say someone who doesn't have anything to do with my work. They just don't know me. They don't know anything about it, but they have this feeling. They've been awakened all of a sudden. And they have this feeling that they want to work with this, what I'm calling paragenetic energy. They want to bring it into the streaming and connect it to their physical genetics. And maybe they don't even know that much detail about it, but they know they want to do something, and they're doing it. And they start doing it, and their body starts receiving it, and their genetic field starts drinking it in from the paragenetic flower. That nectar is being poured into the physical paragenetic family system. What happens? Well, first of all, that person benefits extremely. They are not only just changing their attitude and their awareness level and their good health and all of this good stuff, they're changing their DNA field. Well, what does this do? Now, remember, quantum science does not stay in the box of our time referencing. That's us. That's what Thoth calls a mutual consensus. So what does it do? It starts changing your 25-year-old son. Maybe not as directly and as profoundly consciously as it is for you, because you're the one that's consciously working with it. But it's changing his genetics. It's genetics. He may say, oh, Mom, I don't believe in that stuff. Don't talk to me about that. And you don't. But you're changing his genetic field. Not out of manipulation, not because you're trying to overlay your belief system on him. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about a belief system. I'm talking about pure quantum science. You're helping that individual move back genetically into his true quantum field. And then what happens? He has a baby, and that baby's born with it right away. So you can see how this works. It's just miraculous because it's also working with your past and his past lives, I'm speaking. His past lives, your past lives, Uncle Joe's past lives. You're affecting it all. Now, you'd say, well, why isn't it dramatically present in my reality? We have to understand that we're working through these reality spectrums. And what we're seeing and perceiving in the moment is not all that there is by any means. In fact, when I was 6 years old, I said this to my mother, and she wrote it down because she wrote all this stuff down. I said to her, sometimes we look at something and don't believe there is any more because we simply can't see it. And that I'm saying again, and that is true for what I'm speaking about here with the paragenetics. So I think that's really exciting and something that I want to share with everyone. You don't have to know about it to experience this. As I said, this is just my Thoth speak and what I'm sharing with you here, my experience on all of this. But I believe that it's exciting to know about. So that's why I'm sharing it. Okay. So now I'd like to introduce the timelines for a moment and how this works with the DNA. Now this is sort of a new picture for me. I can't go back and say, well, I wrote about this 50 years ago like I can with paragenetics or some of these other things. But more recently, Thoth has been really coming in with about the timelines and what they really are and all of that. And that's so totally another topic in many ways. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I want to just take a little slice here and move into that, how it relates to the DNA programming. Now, first of all, Thoth has told me recently, and I did a video on it just the other day that people can watch, listen to rather, because it's mostly listen. But the timelines, there's been a lot of talk about it on various channels and various things. And of course, the Aborigines, I cannot say that word, have always been talking about it. But from Thoth's perspective, we are right now, we are on what he calls phantom timeline. And when I say now, I'm talking about our consensual reality has brought us together on a phantom timeline. Now, before December of 2012, we were on the real deal timeline. After 2012, very quickly, that timeline started dissolving and switching to a higher one. But what happened? The consensual reality said, oh no, we want to be on that timeline. We've always been on that timeline. This is where we want to be. And so we have created a phantom timeline of it. Now the phantom is a lot easier to get rid of because actually we're on this other really marvelous timeline, the one that I'm going to call our ascension timeline. But the phantom is like putting on the brakes when we're just right on the right highway. And all we need to do is take our foot off the pedal because we're already on the highway. So that's one thing that he brought up to me recently that I did a little video on. So if we look at our paragenetics and our family genetics, we need to insert the idea that timelines are not quantum. Timelines are what consensual realities create on various levels of experience. Whether it's an inhuman embodiment, there are other ways to do it. Won't go into that. But, it's a very peripheral thing. It's like swimming around on the sidelines. And we grab onto it and call it ours. And call it our whole world and our whole reality. What time is it? I don't know. Let's see. What time is it? Oh, my clock is a little slower than yours. Let's set our clocks in the same. I don't want to be late. We've got this whole mindset around this thing. Because we're afraid. We're terrified in our inner beings that if we lose track of time, we'll become absolutely insane. We won't have any reality. That'll be the end. And that's actually not true because it's not that we're to do away with timelines. We actually need consensual reality about things as we move into the next phase of awareness, which Thoth calls moving into the pyramidus radius on this planet, which will allow us then to bridge into the ascension consciousness of the new Earth star. It's kind of a progressive thing. So we need a lot of this stuff. We need to have polarities. but we just are so polarity dense, we can't see the balanced polarity that we need. So we're not doing away with these things, but we are needing to move into a higher perspective about them and to get a balanced register on the whole thing. So, to bring it back again, the DNA is where it lies, because DNA allows us to balance things. If we move into our paragenetic field and we bring it into our genetic field, as we're doing that, we are creating a kind of time referencing, so that the little codes that are being brought from the para into the physical can give you referencing that allows you to create balance in your time fields. And what that does is gives you the proper time, the proper consensual reality timeline that's already been set up for us, but by the help of our ultra being kindred, who are also, have a right to intertwine with us, to braid with us. And so by focusing our light energy through our genetics and through our paragenetic field and saying, I choose the ascension, to give it a word, the ascension timeline is already there for me. And I choose to take my foot off the consensual brake that is phantomizing this old one that I really left behind, that we all really left behind. I choose this. And you say this to yourself. You put this in your meditations. You put this in your mantras and your affirmations. You just keep affirming it. And this will help you to do that. Now, let's say you do this. Well, how does this help anybody else? It helps everybody else. You have no idea how much one person working in the way they can work with all this can affect the whole. It's just absolutely amazing. That is what I'm told, and that is what I truly, truly believe. Now, I could go on talking a little bit about this, Joanna, but I've lost track of time. Do I have a few more minutes, or should we close here?
No, we have maybe about 20 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can continue.
Well, okay, well, I'm going to take a little sip of water. And I'm going to take just a few moments. I want to just be in silence because I've come to a plateau, and I want to see what else might be wishing to come through. Because I do have a little bit to say about my work in general and how you can get in touch with that. But I want to make sure this has its proper finale. So I'm just going to take a few moments here. I'd like you all just to be in presence with me. Oh, well, he's wishing for me to bring up what I've been writing about, actually not writing so much. I've been doing a lot more videos in the last 9 months. I was doing videos before, but I was doing a lot of writing too. However, I've developed a case of recurring shingles, which has given me nerve pain, and I really can't type that much right now. So I'm doing a lot of videos to just, be able to say something to people. So in the last, maybe 3 or 4 videos, I've been talking about the what Thoth called the Arcadia star streams. And the actual connection to the planet was made on this May 29th. These are 3, what he says, think about it as like 3 fiber optic cables. And they're coming from out there in the cosmos, and they link into the Earth. They actually came in and made their official link on our timeline on May 29th, and they came through Mongolia somewhere, and then they came into the center of the central sun atoma of the Earth. They came back up and came out of Uluru in Australia, and then they came across the planet on the membrane shell, rippling across. Most especially water was carrying it across, and the dolphins and whales, the cetaceans, were helping to carry this energy across so that it filled the whole planet on the membrane surface. This was very important. After it had been digested into the center of the planet, the sacred center, brought up through Uluru and wave formed across the planet, it now is encoded in every single portal on the planet, every single dimensional portal on the planet. So that happened on May 29th, and it's of interest because Thoth had told me back in April when he first told me about this. It was almost a month to the day, around April 29th, that this would occur. And he also said that Mount Uluru was not entirely, the portal that had been there, was somewhat shut, and it was going to have to, like creak open a little bit more for this to happen. Well, one day before May 29th, they had a 7-point earthquake right next to Uluru. And I truly believe, and I received confirmation from my source anyway, that this was, in effect, a way of, opening this up a little more. And so since that date, now we're receiving these codes. Not all at once. That would be too much. And I don't know how long this goes on. Maybe forever until we actually ascend. I don't know at this time. But we are receiving these codes. And where are they coming from? They're coming from what Thoth calls the Atosic universe, or neutral universe, which is our mother universe, the mother of the universe we're in here now. So we're getting what Thoth calls mother's milk directly from the mother universe. And we've not received this for a very, very, very long time on this planet. And I think that's amazing and wonderful, because now we're really, really getting in touch with that elixir that we need. We need it really strongly right now. So there are other things that have been brought to my attention because of this. And one of them is an alignment that is going to occur between Rennes-le-Château in southern France. Most of you are kind of maybe sort of familiar with the big thing around that. And the Roslin Chapel in Edinburgh, Scotland. Again, it has a whole history around it. And Uluru. These three places are going to line up their energy points that are very important to the planet. Won't go into all that. That could be a whole other webinar. But the fact is that the water table is going to shift and move up in all of these three places. There's an underground chamber in each, in Roslin, in Rennes-le-Château Chapel, the chapel there, and under Uluru. There's a water table that is going to raise, and when it does, it's going to adjust certain things that were physically put into place in those locations by physical people. That when the water table rises, it allows the device to move and shift the energy. And as this shift occurs, we're going to have another major field opening. Now, he hasn't given me much information on what that's going to be yet, kind of hot off the press, but I thought I would share that with you. So I'm going to take another pause and see if there's anything else before I do my conclusion. Well, I think I'll just go into talking about a little bit about how you can, if you like what you're hearing here and you feel resonant with it and you'd like to continue following me, or perhaps even become a member of my subscription portal, I'm going to tell you how to do that. With my website is newearthstar.org, just like it sounds, no W's involved, just newearthstar.org. And that's kind of my portal, because, not my portal, I'm going to call it the node that connects to all my webs and blogs. I have them spread out all over the place. And so you can find them there, and a lot of other information in my bio and things like that. And also you can find the link to my portal. It's on that website. And if you open that link, you will read about it if you wanted to subscribe to that portal. And then there's a join link that takes you right in to be able to join to my portal. I put a lot of stuff out for free. Most of my stuff is out there for free. And really, I'm asking people to subscribe to my portal to support all of it. Not just the cool stuff they get in the portal, but everything. Because I have to keep going here. And what you get in the portal is a lot of videos and activational videos, discourses, also some of my activational artwork, access to my archive, which is electronically scanned data from back to 1980, started the Source and then Temple Doors, all of those periodicals are now in the electronic format that you can download for free in my portal, and also discounts on my sessions and other like work that I do, like the Merkaba logos art that I do for individuals, things of that nature. So that all comes out of the portal. So if you just go to newearthstar.org, you'll find it all there, including my Kira portal link. And so I believe I've concluded. I think I've said everything I want to say for today.